evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning Fan Show. And thank you all for joining me on this Wednesday evening. Didn't have a chance to do a show last night. I mean, look, I got in at midnight last night. I chose to fly out in the afternoon, 2:30. That was supposed to be the departure time. Little did I know that would change. However, I chose that because, one, the championship, which was a fantastic time. It really was. The score might have been a bit one-sided, which we'll go over in the headlines, but it was a fantastic event. Now, normally the championship is on a Saturday, and I can fly back Sunday or Monday. Sunday, really anytime. Monday, first thing in the morning, or anytime, depending on how much 9 to 5 work I want to miss. And then the show, of course, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But the championship was on a Monday, and I knew that whatever the outcome was going to be, whoever won, that I was going to go out after, because I had spent, it was the finale of the tour. Fan Show Tour 2018 grand finale. The stop that wasn't even supposed to happen because of last-minute complications with my car, having to make some repairs, alternator, battery. But then some very generous donations by friends, sponsors, supporters, fans, what have you, family. It happened, and it was great. And I'm very, very blessed and thankful that it was able to happen. So I wanted to kind of give myself a little bit. I didn't want to have a championship game Monday night go until 10 o'clock, which it did, go out after, which wouldn't be until probably about 11, because you got to think confetti, trophy ceremonies, interviews, all that jazz. And then they got to change and shower, and then they get out to wherever they're going afterwards. So, that is essentially what happens. So you didn't get out until about 11:15, 11:30. And I didn't want to celebrate and have a good time with the players and then have to worry about waking up at 7 o'clock to catch like a 9 a.m. flight. Why? Checkout's not till 11. So I took very much advantage of that. But it was a fantastic weekend. So my apologies if you guys were hoping for a show last night. I hope you can forgive me. I hope you understand, given the circumstances. We're here tonight. It is Wednesday. Normally, this is my BattleBots weekly special that has been pushed to tomorrow night. The guest that I have on tonight was the only night that he could be on, so I knew it was probably going to have to be a different night for the BattleBot special anyway. So we'll have that tomorrow. Don't worry, bot fans. I know some of you guys tune in specifically for that episode, and I thank you very much. But this is business as usual, I guess, if you want to call it that, for the Fan Show. Every episode's business as usual, but this is going to be our weekend recap. I mean, it's been a while since last Thursday, and a lot has happened since the time that we were together, and we are going to go through all that, right now with, let's go ahead, let's get started, let's kick it off. We got a little bit of time before James Coe, formerly of NFL Network and the Fantasy Friends, now of DirecTV's Fantasy Zone. So we're going to catch up with him. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But let's get to it. First up, the headlines. And headlines, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises. My man Ethan, they had their logo put on the fourth plate of the Fan Show Player of the Game belt, and it looked magnificent. It was a real head-turner. They've done shirts for me. They're going to do a bunch more merch for me, and it has been just an incredible business relationship, business journey with them. Shirts, haven't gotten a bad review on them. I've sold so many. I'm a little overstocked on mediums and smalls and larges, but man, they sold fast. They really did. And I can't thank Ethan enough and Dynamite Enterprises for being the huge supporters of the show that they are. They gave me a shout out today. I mean, it was just a fantastic weekend. So look, if you guys need custom anything, and I mean anything, underwear, t-shirts, hats, socks, polos, bags, table runners, tablecloths, backdrops, trophies, and more, even foam fingers, Ethan can hook it up. He can customize your world. Email Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com, or just visit dynamiteenterprises.com. You will not be disappointed. Okay, nobody was with that belt. Nobody has been with the shirt. I am 2 for 2 on things that Dynamite Enterprises have been a part of with the F.A.N show. So I mean, really, do I need to go 3 for 3 or more? Like I'm running at 100% right now. We're gonna do hats and so much more. So I mean, don't hop on the bandwagon. There's plenty of room right now in the elevator on the ground floor. Let's go! Dynamite Enterprises. The headlines. Ooh, boy, where do we start? Well, you know, it's been a weekend. What do you say? First up, there has been a contract agreement. I guess an agreement has been reached between these parties. And I got to tell you, it comes as no surprise. People, when they saw Jimmy G get his big contract, I was like, you realize he just set the market for the veterans out there, right? I mean, Kirk Cousins is probably going to be the next one to get the big fatty paycheck. And then, of course, he went to the Vikings. And I said, there's guys licking their chops at these deals. That people want to be outraged because they think that these guys aren't worth what they're getting paid. But it's because the guys that are, they're still in their first contract and they're about to get paid. And boy, did somebody get paid today. Hey, Aaron Rodgers got paid. He is the official newest, highest paid player in the NFL. Record-breaking deal for Aaron Rodgers. 4 years, $134 million. $100 million in total guarantees. I mean, holy shit. That's a lot of money. That's a baseball contract. You realize that? I mean, look, we laugh now and it's outrageous how much athletes get paid, but football has always been sort of that conundrum. These guys, they may have the shortest schedule, but it is the most physically demanding sport out there, aside from maybe hockey, soccer. They don't play 125 games a year, but these guys put their bodies on the line for 16 weeks out of the year. 18, 20 if you want to include preseason, you know. So well done, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I do not believe in my heart of hearts that he will ever play for another team than the Green Bay Packers. I thought maybe he'd wind up in Chicago or, God forbid, Minnesota, and that would be hilarious. But I think they've made Aaron a Packer for life, and good for him. Good on him. You know, you don't like to see guys changing jerseys quite so frequently, but there he is, $134 million. I repeat, 134, 100 of that in guarantees. Previous record holders, of course, we know was Matt Ryan, $30 million. Kirk Cousins, $28 million. Jimmy Garoppolo, $27.5. Look at that. He wasn't even the biggest one. People were being upset. Matt Stafford, $27. Largest contracts in NFL history based on the average annual value, according to Over the Cap. That's per the NFL.com website. So this is broken up into $33.5 million a year. Matt Ryan was $3.5 million less than that per year, which with his deal, which was a huge one at the time. In other news, speaking of contracts, another guy got paid. Oh my goodness. Odell Beckham Jr. signed a contract. He is now the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. Him and the New York Giants have agreed to a 5-year, $95 million extension with $65 million in total guarantees. How about I just go try out for a football team, man? That would take care of all of my life's problems, at least financially. I can't say that it would take care of every problem, but you get what I'm saying. And as far as other news, there was quite a few trades and some updates going on. Jaguars wide receiver Marquise Lee to undergo season-ending knee surgery, and it's very unfortunate for him. I like Marquise Lee, I really do. Patriots guard Shaq Mason, they agreed to a 5-year, $50 million extension. There's another contract for you, another guy getting paid. The Steelers acquire wide receiver Ryan Switzer from the Oakland Raiders. And then we have linebacker Kamale Carrera. The Ravens are sending him to the Tennessee Titans. And in Cincinnati, Bengals agreed to a 4-year, $65.3 million extension with defensive tackle Geno Atkins and a 3-year, $45 million extension with defensive end Carlos Dunlap. And to trade alert earlier today, Packers trade quarterback Brett Hundley to the Seahawks for a 6th-round pick, so he will back up Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Kaiser will back up Aaron Rodgers. And Teddy Bridgewater, that's right, Teddy Two Gloves, Saints are getting him from New York. That deal was done earlier today, and I think it was surprising, but it wasn't, because nobody knew what was going to go on with Teddy in New York. And then shortly following, it was announced that the Jets have made it official. Sam Darnold will start week 1 for the New York Jets. So this Teddy thing, though, it's interesting because you thought it was going to happen, and then it didn't. Like, in the prime time of when trades and movements are made, like, I don't even know why the Jets got him to begin with, especially when they took Darnold. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense. So here's Teddy, who, my God, man, you don't want him to be the next Sam Bradford, but if he gets hurt again, that's probably going to be like what his career looks like. I believe he's got potential better than Sam Bradford. He's just got to stay healthy. So he overcame one of the worst injuries a quarterback can have, and in that time, not one but 2 other quarterbacks, more than serviceable. I mean, Minnesota at one time had 3 quarterbacks they didn't know what the hell to do with. And then they ended up not keeping any of them. They signed Kirk Cousins. So what's going to happen to Teddy? Well, New York picks him up. Hey, that's a good spot for him. That was the talk. New York, draft day, Sam Darnold. What is going on here? And so now he's going to go to New Orleans. He's not going to start. I mean, unless Breeze gets sidelined for a game or suffers a season-ending injury, which you hope doesn't happen for Breeze. But he will be his backup now. And it's just... I'd like to see him go to a spot where he can be a starter, or at least compete for the starting job. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, he's competing for the starting job against Baker Mayfield, but we all know that he's not going to probably end up winning that job. Even if he does, I gave it 4 or 5 games before the fans start chanting for Baker Mayfield. It's the same thing that happened with Case Keenum in L.A., Jared Goff breathing down his neck, and I said, Keenum is a starting quarterback. And then he gets a shot in Minnesota, does great there, and now he's going to go and be the quarterback in Denver. I mean, all they need is an opportunity in the right surroundings, right? That's all they really need. Now, the Jets, though, the Jets in this particular situation. Now, if these rumors are true, which it was tweeted out by someone from NFL Network, let me find the exact tweet here. Tom Pelissero tweeted earlier today, crazy scene. Jets players were on the bus when they stopped, told Teddy Bridgewater he'd been traded. He waved goodbye, then they drove off, source said. Bridgewater headed to the Saints. So, like, did they just pull up to the nearest rest stop, kick him off, and say, you got traded, like they'll be here to pick you up? Because, man, that's cold. That is some stone cold stuff right there. But, okay, that's the NFL news. Well, we can talk about that a little bit more after James and I talk. But I get it. You guys want to hear about my weekend. NAL Championship game. I'd like to say, oh, what a game, as far as like how close it was and how it came down to the wire. But as Coach Billy Back said, quote, this was an old-fashioned ass-whooping. Now, Mason Espinoza was supposed to start for the Columbus Lions. He was there at Media Day, which I was in attendance for. was a great time. I thought the NAL and the Cobras and the powers that be did Media Day very well, given that this was their second one in league history. They had a panel of 3 players each, the head coaches, but those weren't the only players that were there from each team. The teams were both in attendance in the audience, as well as myself and other media members from different media outlets, and it was just well run. They had opening remarks from both coaches, players that wanted to say something. Then they had the trophy reveal, which was great, and then they opened it up for Q&A, and then after the Q&A, they did like closing remarks, and then you could go and do one-on-one interviews with players and coaches afterwards. So it was very, very smooth, very well run. The awards banquet following that was great too. Talk more about that a little later. But the game itself, man, Espinoza did not play, and I was informed after by one of the Lions front office members that he was never going to play. I mean, it was I don't know what kind of like smoke and mirrors thing you're trying to pull, but I mean, unless the guy steps out onto that field, it's like you can hype up like he's going to play, but if he's not the guy out there, it just sort of loses its effect. But it's neither here nor there. I mean, they did the best they could with what they had. 66-8 is your final score. Carolina Cobras, one of 3 expansion teams. Billy Beck, formerly of the Wichita Falls Nighthawks, great coach, led a great squad, and they dominated start to finish, and it was a very much a statement performance by them. Charles McCullum, the Fan Show player of the game, and so much so that the commissioner of the league, Chris Siegfried, asked me if I would like to present my belt during the trophy presentation ceremony to the player of the game, because the NAL does not have a championship MVP trophy, and so they wanted to make a big deal out of it, and I was honored. Thank you, NAL. It was such a memorable moment for me to be up on that stage, shoulder to shoulder with the commissioner, to give out another one of one, third one I've given away to the player of the game, Charles McCullum, who played lights out behind a strong offensive line. He had a lot of help on defense, obviously allowing only 8 points, but Mason Espinoza does not play defense, so he got the 110% healthy starters of that Lions defense, and he carved them up. He picked them apart, plain and simple. So we will talk more about that after Mr. James comes on, and I will have some highlights and interviews from that as well. So don't go anywhere after James and I finish up talking. But one thing I did want to mention to you guys is that the good folks at mybookie.ag have decided to partner up with me again for this NFL season. And, ever since I started this podcast, people will tend to ask me for fantasy advice. Now, I feel like I give terrible fantasy advice. I really do. Usually it's what team to bet on this week if they're into that. And the truth is, I don't know who's going to win. I don't really think anybody does. But if you think if you're one of those guys that you're like a prophet, you can prophesize the NFL. You can prophesize sports. I think they're going to win, or they are going to win. Then you got to check out MyBookie, okay? Remember, you're betting... who you're betting on is just as important as who you're betting with, and that's why I always tell people to bet with MyBookie. Trust me, this is the place to go to place your bets, and they are the best bet this season. They've been in business for years. They have great reviews online. I've read them myself, and their mobile site is easy to use. Lay down some cash and win big today. I would recommend this to any of my listeners that like to do a little bit of betting. If you've got that itch, scratch it with MyBookie. Join now, and MyBookie will match your deposit 100% dollar for dollar up to $1,000, and you can use promo code F.A.N, F-A.N, stands for Football and Nonsense, to activate this offer. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie, and don't forget to use the promo code F.A.N when creating your account to claim the bonus. You play, you win, you get paid with MyBookie.ag today. So don't go anywhere. We've got more of the Fan Show, James Coe, Fantasy Zone, coming up right after this.
You're listening to The Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's the F.A.N. Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons, like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good people of Fan Nation, we are back. Joining me, one of my favorite guys to have on the show. What else can you say that hasn't been said by Adam Rank before? He is James Coe, now of DirecTV's Fantasy Zone. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Did you just have Adam Rank on your show?
No, I wish. That man is extremely busy and hard to pin down, but every time he's on, we always spend like 10 seconds talking fantasy and then go right into ranting about wrestling. I mean, it's it's chaos.
He just is celebrating the birth of his second child.
Oh, wow.
Good for him. And to be honest with you, I don't know if this is TMI, man, but yeah, their family has went through a lot to have their first, and then all of a sudden the second one just pops out. It's like, okay, great. I was so happy for him because, man, they have gone through so much to have children, and they are absolutely, oh my God, he and Mrs. Rank are absolutely loving being parents. So I'm happy for him. Mazel tov to him, obviously. But yes, he's kind of out of the pocket right now, man. I don't know if you've noticed, but he hasn't been nearly as active on Twitter, and that's mostly because he's been watching after his wife and the birth of his second child.
Well, yeah, I think if there's any excuse to like be quieter on social media, you know, it's not that you're like. It's best if it's not reasons like, oh, I was too hungover. It's like I got a baby, man. I got kids to feed.
Although the listeners should know, I literally started this conversation before we started recording. I'm like, yo, we got to get this interview done because I really got to start getting after it. I got to start hitting that sauce pretty soon here because let me tell you, the Co's getting thirsty, you know, and I got to start hitting that sauce, man.
Hey, by all means, you know, I won't keep you too long, and you can get started on air because you know it doesn't.
Perfect.
It'll take a little bit to settle in, but
I knew I liked you. Yeah, it's perfect. I like it.
Well, hey, there's been some change of scenery for you. You were with the NFL Network doing, some fantasy work, Fantasy Live with Adam Rank, and now you are with DirecTV Fantasy Zone. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like this kind of came out of nowhere, happened a little fast. Is that accurate?
Well, it always seems fast on social media, and in real life, it always takes a lot longer. Than most people think. But, my time with NFL Network was great. I loved my job. But, it just, we couldn't come to an extension and I really wanted to come back, but, they wanted to move in a different direction. And to be honest with you, man, like I knew about that probably, this is back in April. I knew about it. You know what I mean? But I soldiered on and, we did the podcast. We were still banging out podcasts once a week. And, I was still writing articles every now and again. And, I was just trying to be the good soldier about it and just have a great attitude. I don't know, man, anyone who's like listened to, watched or read any of my work, man, I just, for me, it's all about having a great attitude and really having a passion for fantasy football. And that's just basically what I tried to bring each and every single time I came out. So I don't know, man, for me, it's like I knew since April and I've been looking around at different ventures since April. But so I don't quite remember when this, DirecTV thing kind of came around, but the final contract probably took, probably a good 3 months before I actually announced it, and that's generally how these big time television contracts work. It takes a while, man. So yes, I appreciate the fact that people were wondering and curious, and and all those things. And I know a lot of people are like, yeah, you got back on your feet quick. It's like, bro, you don't even know. Like, that was a good 2-3 months where I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to drive Uber pretty soon here, bro. But yeah, no, everything worked out for the best. And man, I am so excited. Oh my god, I'm so excited about my new project here with DirecTV.
Which is a perfect segue, because I was actually just about to ask you, because I'll admit 100% honesty here, full disclosure, I did not know that DirecTV had a fantasy segment, and that's partially because I'm too busy watching you and Rank on Fantasy Live, so I didn't have reason to watch anybody else out there. So walk us through what will this be like? Give us a presentation here, what we can expect this season.
So here's the thing. If you like Red Zone, and I would assume if you're listening to this podcast, you're very familiar with Red Zone. Goes game to game, goes to every game, covers every single game. If you are a fan of that, you will be a fan of this show, because we basically do the exact same thing. We're going to go game to game, but we're going to have a pregame show starting at 9 o'clock Pacific time. So 1 hour before kick, we're going to be on DirecTV. It's the channel right below or right above. I think it's right below your Red Zone channel on DirecTV. We're going to help you set your lineups. We're going to give you all the fantasy advice you could possibly need, starting 1 hour before kick. And then once the kickoff happens, we're going to be going game to game, just like Red Zone, or just like we're going to go game to game. We're going to get you all the scores, but instead of just listening to Andrew Siciliano, we're going to have a large cast of 6 characters. We're all, experts in different parts of our field, but you're going to get a wide range of voices and perspective, but with a complete, just a total fantasy angle on watching football. So think about Red Zone, and then think about you watching Red Zone with your buddy, and you're both obsessed about fantasy. That's what Fantasy Zone is. And I personally am extremely excited about what it's going to look and sound like, and I think we're going to absolutely kill it.
I completely agree. I look forward to seeing you in your maiden voyage with this new one, so I will certainly give you a rave review after this whole thing gets started. But let's talk fantasy. It seems like every offseason there's a lot of movement. There's a few jaw-dropping moments, some stuff that we didn't see coming. This year seemed like a lot of the movement happened very early on in the season, specifically at the quarterback position. You got, Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco midway through last season, but then Kirk Cousins finds a new home. Case Keenum finds a new home. Teddy gets shipped to New York, and then all of a sudden, we have a quarterback shakeup happening in the league, and then now we've had even more quarterback news. Does this one seem a bit busier to you, or is it just because of who the names are in play?
Now Teddy's in New Orleans, which I think is terrific for him. What a great opportunity to learn and sit behind, Drew Brees, who is 39 years of age, and obviously a terrific first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. But how many more years has he got left? You know what I mean? Probably 3 at most. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, the way the quarterback's going, maybe he plays till 45. I don't know. But you would think realistically probably 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? What a great opportunity to learn under Drew Brees and Sean Payton for Teddy Bridgewater. But I think, in terms of the movement, I think it's about I would probably say it's about the same, but I think the seismic shift, I think, is different. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you've got, for example, in New York, I think Josh McCown was a find. He was capable, and as a matter of fact, he absolutely overachieved for the Jets last year. This is what's funny, man. People got to remember, going into the 2017 season, there was literally a hashtag on Twitter, especially in the fantasy community, of Never Jets. Hashtag Never Jets. Because people thought this team is going to be an absolute train wreck offensively, and there's no way I'm investing in any pieces. Well, you missed out. Robbie Anderson broke out. Guys like Bilal Powell, I thought they were fine. And even to a degree, I think Matt Forte was an excellent streamer as well in 2017. Josh McCown was an excellent streamer for whatever reason last year as well. So, I think Todd Bowles absolutely overachieved last year. Now they got not only Josh McCown back in the fold, but also Sam Darnold. And some of those weapons, I think, now are viable fantasy options. You talk about, the quarterback moving around. How about Tyrod Taylor going to Buffalo? I think that's such a terrific fit for what they want to get done. Tyrod Taylor loves bombing it deep. I mean, you think about Josh Gordon. I know he might not, quote unquote, start week 1, but I mean, again, if you are downgrading him in your redraft league because he's not, quote unquote, starting week 1, you're completely missing the boat here. Tyrod Taylor, Josh Gordon, it's a skill set that is a match made in heaven, and I'm really, really big on Josh Gordon in this upcoming season.
Yeah, I believe a lot of people are, and he's done so well with quarterbacks that you wouldn't expect a guy like him to excel well with. Now, when it comes to the quarterback position and the world of fantasy, it's one that causes a little bit of controversy. Some people take quarterbacks very high; they value them, very high. Some people don't take them almost at all. Some people will stream quarterbacks. So let's talk about the new faces and new places, the new players that we've got. We've got Jimmy G in San Francisco, Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, Alex Smith in Washington, Case Keenum in Denver, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Tyrod Taylor. Is there anyone that you felt confident about last year that maybe now you're not so sure of because of where they landed? And then on that same note, the reverse, maybe somebody you weren't so confident about that now you are because of their new home.
I think Alex Smith is somebody that I'm not very confident in. A lot of people, and I know a lot of fantasy, hipster type folks are trying to create this narrative that, Alex Smith is a different type of quarterback now because he attacks downfield. Look at his downfield numbers. All of his downfield numbers were some of the best in the NFL. Listen, man, it's just not the case. You know what I'm saying? He had terrific downfield numbers. But if you look at those numbers, he's the exact same quarterback. He's throwing to open wide receivers. Tyreek Hill that's had, I think, I don't have my computer in front of me here, but the largest separation stats in the NFL among wide receivers who saw at least 100 targets. So per target, this guy has the most separation, and when he's separating from his defenders, he's wide open, man. Alex Smith is tossing to a wide open Tyreek Hill. So no, I don't think he's changed. And I think, I think most fantasy managers are not buying the quote unquote change of Alex Smith. I think he's still pretty much the exact same guy. I like the fact that he's going into a good system for him. God, by the way, has anyone had better coaching in their careers than frickin' Alex Smith? I mean, the guy goes from Harbaugh to Andy Reid to Jay Gruden. The guy's never seen a subpar coach in his life. As a matter of fact, I think when he was at Utah, I think he was coach under Urban Meyer, if I'm not mistaken. So, man, let me tell you something. This guy has gotten unbelievable coaching throughout his career. But no, I think, again, it's a good pickup for Washington because they lost Kirk Cousins. But that being said, if you're drafting Alex Smith to be anything more than, a weekly streaming option, I think you're mistaken. Meanwhile, on the other side, I like Kirk Cousins. He walks into a pretty good situation. I think Diggs and Thielen and Kyle Rudolph at the tight end position are if they're not the best wide, pass catching group he's ever had, certainly in that conversation. I will say this: people have said, it's the best, pass catchers he's ever had in his career. Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon, terrific pass catchers. He had Jordan Reed healthy then as well. But that being said, it's clearly the biggest and probably the most athletic wide receiving core he's ever had, because Deshaun Jackson, as much as I love him, Pierre Garçon because he was a stud back in the day. These guys aren't all guys. You know what I'm saying? They're not big-bodied wide receivers. Diggs, big-bodied. Adam Thielen, certainly a big-bodied wide receiver. These are the clearest big-bodied receivers that Kirk Cousins is throwing to. So I like his situation. And to be honest with you, I think Mike Zimmer's done a terrific job on the offensive end as well. So even though he's supposed to be a quote-unquote defensive guy, I really like what Kirk Cousins has going on in Minnesota, and I think he will challenge certainly to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
All right, and last note on the quarterback position then. We have Jared Goff in the West on a Rams team that seems like they have pretty much put all their chips to the center on it's Super Bowl or nothing at all. And then San Francisco has Jimmy Garoppolo, won 5 in a row. Last year, some question marks around him. The Houston Texans are going to get Deshaun Watson back to start, and then Aaron just signed a record-breaking deal, which makes me a little uneasy. Those big deals in quarterbacks, man, they don't mesh well. Any one of those a cause for concern or might potentially have a breakout season?
I don't have any cause for concern for all of the literally all of the quarterbacks that you named. I love Watson in Houston. I think he's going to come back. It's so funny to me. You know, everyone keeps saying regression. This guy's going to be, he can't keep up this touchdown rate. It's funny to me because literally he's never been stopped ever in his career. He hasn't been stopped in high school. He was never stopped at Clemson. Yeah, he threw a lot of interceptions, but whatever. You didn't stop. I mean, Watson stopped himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like defensive fronts were getting to Watson. I mean, literally, he saw one of the best college defenses in the history of college football, and he torched them. Oh, no, he's never been stopped at any point in his career. He goes to Houston, wasn't stopped. Literally, the only thing that stopped was a knee injury. He's never ever seen a setback on the playing field. So everyone keeps saying regression, and I get it. I'm not saying he's going to, have some crazy, 60 touchdowns season. But I think it's absolutely reasonable to expect that he's going to give you a top 3 performance at the quarterback position in fantasy. I think that's 100% reasonable, and I would price him accordingly. Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, even last year, he walks in cold. He looked absolutely terrific. He's got a great coaching staff. Well, Kyle Shanahan and the boys are going to have him moving in the right direction. You got to keep in mind, remember, against Jacksonville, historically one of the best defenses in the NFL, in NFL history, he scored 3 touchdowns. So he's fine. And where he's going right now in drafts too, 9th, 10th, 11th round, sign me up all day long. He is absolutely one of my favorite late round quarterbacks to target in fantasy.
Excellent. So, last couple of questions here then. The tight end position is always one that it's like it's not drafted high enough, but yet all of a sudden when it comes to, I need a tight end, there's like maybe 3 at best, and then that's it. You're spent. You're lucky if you can stream a good one. Vernon Davis being reunited with Alex Smith in Washington, does that give his value any kind of bump whatsoever?
I think early on in the season, probably not, because Jordan Reed will at least get snaps. I mean, obviously we know Jordan Reed to be one of the most fragile NFL players in history. So will he play an entire season? Probably not. At some point, Vernon Davis will be a streaming option. I don't see why he wouldn't be. I didn't think he played great last year, but he was certainly at times a serviceable streaming tight end. So he'll be there, and as you mentioned, he gets reunited with Alex Smith. The bottom line is, if you have not drafted yet, if you miss out on the top 3 guys, we're talking about Gronk, Kelsey, and I guess Zach Ertz, although I actually don't have him there because I see Zach Ertz, and this is a little bit of a hot take, but I see Zach Ertz as just another guy. He had a fantastic year last year. Don't get me wrong. He was the tight end 3, I think, last year behind Kelsey and somebody else. Maybe it was tight end 2. I don't know. But the bottom line was, look at his career, and again, look at his role in the offense. Tell me that's sustainable. I just find it interesting that people keep talking to me about, regression with guys like, with guys like Deshaun Watson. Because they don't want to take a quarterback early, and they're desperately trying to tell you not to take a quarterback early, which I get. Yeah, for sure. top 3, top 5 tight end. I'm like, wait, hold on now. What am I missing here? Zach Ertz, it's not like he's a rookie. It's not like he's a third-year guy. Like, he's been in the league for a long time now. Literally, that was the first and only time in his career he has been fantasy relevant. So I'm hesitant to say he's a locked and loaded top 5 guy. And I know Peterson's great as the head coach for Philadelphia, but I don't know, man. Just to me, I don't rank him as a locked and loaded top 3 dude. He is, to me, in the tier with guys like Brady Burton, guys like Jack Doyle. I mean, to me, he's just a guy, man. And quite honestly, if you miss out on Kelsey or Gronk, I am literally not drafting a tight end. Literally. I just want to see who else is there. It's like I'm in a league where I literally did not draft a tight end. My last pick was Corey Coleman. And if Corey Coleman doesn't make the team, cool, I'll drop him and pick up Derek Cook. You know what I'm saying? Like, George Kittle is somebody who I think has decent upside as a sleeper tight end. Guys aren't drafting Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron, I think, is an interesting prospect at the tight end position. Jack Doyle, as I mentioned, is somebody else. Like, I'm literally not worried about tight end at all because all of these guys, I think, are streamable characters. Again, it's like at this point in fantasy, I'm treating tight end like kickers. I mean, all these guys are interchangeable, honestly. I mean, it's like, okay, these oversized guys, it's like, all right, they're all interchangeable, man. Like, and listen, if you're tripping on a guy who is either A, going to get you 850 yards or 600 yards, and anywhere between 6 to 8, like the variance between 600 and 850 and 6 or 8 touchdowns in a 16-week league is nominal. It's nominal. You shouldn't even be thinking about tight end, literally, unless you get Gronk or Kelsey.
All right, fair enough. So the last question I got for you is my favorite one, and that is you have your choice here. Either your ultimate sleeper for the 2018 season that nobody's going to convince you otherwise, or your favorite hot take, fantasy or regular season, going into the 2018 season.
I'll give you 2. First of all, I think Zach Ertz finishes outside. My hot take is Zach Ertz finishes outside the top 12 at the tight end position. That's hot take number 1. I'll give you a sleeper that I literally it doesn't matter if it's a mock or a real draft. If I don't get this guy, I am upset, literally upset. And that's Austin Eckler. I think Austin Eckler right now is criminally underrated, and I don't understand why. The guy that, again, the Charger coaching staff has moved around everywhere on the football field. Look, my job with DirecTV and the Fantasy Zone is to be a next-gen stats expert, and literally nobody has written about next-gen stats more than I did than I did with NFL Media. Austin Eckler, to me, first of all, you look at you look at where his lineups are. His lineup data. Look, he's lining up in the backfield. He's lining up in the slot. As a matter of fact, they've lined him up in flanker, outside wide, as well in the Z as a Z receiver. They're lining this guy up. Then you look at the preseason; they're giving this guy plenty of work. So I just think that they're going to figure out a way to get this guy 15 touches a game. And maybe the scoring will be inconsistent because, anytime you have a low volume, running back, it's going to be very inconsistent. But this guy's a fantastic athlete, extremely shifty, super fast, great vertical. And not only that, he's a workout warrior. The tape that I've seen on this guy, I mean, again, game tape going to 2017, incredibly strong. For the size that he is, because I think he's just under 200 pounds, this guy is shucking defenders, man. He is a fall-forward running back. Mark my words, this guy is a fall-forward running back. And you're saying, how is it possible that this guy who's 5'9", 195 pounds is always falling forward? But he is. I watched literally every touch of his in 2017 on tape. I don't remember a time this guy did not fall forward. And it's because of his speed, it's because of his athleticism, and it's because of his overall strength as well. I love Austin Eckler going to 2018, and I really, truly, honestly believe, even if Melvin Gordon stays healthy, listen to what I'm saying here. I'm saying he has standalone value. He is not a handcuff, ladies and gentlemen. This dude has standalone value in PPR. I'm fully expecting an 850 to 900-yard season, 35 receptions, and 5 to 8 touchdowns. And you might say to yourself, well, that's not that great. Listen, when those bye weeks hit, you're going to be looking for Austin Eckler, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a guy that could absolutely get the job done. I'm really excited about what he could do in 2018.
All right, well, there you have it, your hot take and your sleeper alert from the expert himself, James Coe. Third time on the show. He is officially friend of the Fan Show. I got to send you out a
100%,
Fan Show.
I love the Fan Show. You kidding me? Absolutely.
I got to send you a Fan Show shirt, so even if you're wearing it, casually when you're getting the sauce, at least, you can be comfortable while doing that. So
I love it. Oh, my God. Please get me a fan shirt. I need a fan shirt in my life. Absolutely. 100%. I'm in.
All right, well, James, thank you so much. I always a privilege and a pleasure, always a good laugh to have you on the show, but you enjoy the rest of your evening like I know you will, and you are welcome back anytime, sir.
Anytime you need somebody, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help.
All right, well, hey, best of luck with the new venture. I'm excited to see it. Everybody, DirecTV's Fantasy Zone, James Coe. He's in the house. You have a good night, sir.
See you.
All right, folks, so that was James Coe. I love that, man. He's hilarious. I love it. All right, so we've got some highlights coming up from my post game at the National Arena League Championship. But first, and I got to tell you, in these, I'm going to do the audio, but in them I don't look my best. And I don't look my best because I didn't stop at Indy's barber shop before I went on my trip. And that's I'm going to live with that decision. That's a regret right there. And I don't have many, if any. But my biggest regret recently is that I did not go to Indy's Barbershop, 711 North Monroe Street. Quality haircuts and hot towel shaves. They are my guys. If I want to look sharp, if I want to look my best, and I did for this trip, but I got so slammed, but that's no excuse. Don't use excuses, ladies and gentlemen. Fan Nation, I encourage you, if you're in the Spokane area or even passing through Spokane, you're here for a day, for a business venture, a convention, what have you, you need to stop in because they are going to give you the quality cut and shave that you so desire, that you so deserve. And they are going to do it for 15% off if you walk in there strutting your stuff, say, hey, I heard about you guys on the Fan Show. 711 North Monroe Street. Stop into Indy's Barbershop. They are going to hook you up. So let's go ahead and get some highlights here. National Arena League Championship was an event for me that will live on forever. Because before the game, Commissioner, I pointed out the belt. I said, that's what it's all about, jokingly, and laughed. And he looked at the belt and he was just like, that is something. He's just like, we don't have an MVP trophy. Would you want to present this during the trophy ceremony at the end of the game up on the stage? And I was like, oh my God, I would be honored. So we made it a Fan Show official moment. You guys can see me on the YouTube broadcast thanking him, giving it to quarterback Charles McCullum, and everything that transpired afterwards. I got to be guest commentary, make my commentary debut in the fourth quarter, talking all about that, all about the show, my journey, the tour. Tom Lipscomb, he's a fantastic guy. Thank you so much for inviting me. But it was a weekend I will never forget, moments I will treasure forever, including some from those post-game interviews. So we're going to go ahead and get things started off with Craig the Leg. He had quite the game, quite the season, really, if you want to put it that way. So let's go ahead. Let's hear from Craig the Leg.
All right, I am here post-National Arena League Championship. The ninth man's MVP, my man Craig the Leg Peterson. How you feeling?
I feel great. I actually haven't felt better. This is the best day of my life. It's all the hard work, everything I've done, all the training, everything. This is what it's about. This is why we play. This is what we work so hard for. All the work that I put into this, and to get where I am today, It's an amazing feeling. I can't explain it. I can't put it into words. It's phenomenal.
How much did it mean to have your mom here in attendance for this moment?
It means the world to me. You know, it's one thing to to play well. It's another to play well in front of your family. And for my mom to be able to fly down here and witness this, and this amazing atmosphere and the feeling, and us winning an arena championship is phenomenal.
Now, I know that I don't have like a team for the NAL, but the Cobras are certainly close. I got to say, I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you, man. I've followed your journey since Spokane, which hasn't been too long, but man, it's great to see you here at this moment.
It's good to see you too, first of all, and it's been a long journey, from Spokane where we first met to Hamilton Tiger Cats in the CFL, and then being signed by Massachusetts and then being released a couple days later, and then playing for the Carolina Cobras all season. It's been a roller coaster, but it's been a fun ride. The journey continues. We'll see what happens next year.
Now, I know that this is your interview, but I got to hijack it for a minute because I got a hashtag on Twitter, Sign Craig the Leg. NFL, if you are watching, this man is now a free agent. You need to sign Craig the Leg because he's better than probably half the kickers you got. You feel NFL ready?
I am NFL ready. If anything, I am NFL ready. And I just need the opportunity. An opportunity is all I need.
Hashtag Sign Craig the Leg. All right, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it. It's good seeing you.
Oh, all right, next up is the Fan Show player of the game, Charles McCullum. Let's hear from Mr. Charles on the big game, the big night for him and the Carolina Cobras.
By Dynamite Enterprises and Undisputed Belts, Charles McCullum. How you feeling?
I'm feeling real blessed right now. I just want to thank God for the opportunity to play in this game. And I just thank my teammates for the performance they put out today. As you can see, I appreciate you for bringing this belt and giving it to the rightful owner. I appreciate that a lot, very much.
I heard some rumblings. I was at the awards banquet last night. Some said that you came in with a bit of a chip on your shoulder. You certainly played like you had something to prove. Do you feel you proved that tonight?
Yeah, more like a 2x4. The chip is a little too small. They really ticked us off. Not just only me, my whole team. How you have 100 touchdowns and you don't get an award? Not one award, not even well, he broke the record award. Here you go. Not even that. So we felt disrespected, and that's what they get, 66-8.
Now, as far as the other side, defense allowed 8 points. Your man Michael Green in close contention for that, too. He had like 10 broken passes as well as an interception. How was it to see him from your perspective out there on the field?
I mean, Mike been doing that since camp. I have to go through that like 3-4 times a week, so I'm just glad he got that effect on other teams so they have to go through the pressure I go through. Now they see how I perform on Saturdays and what I have to deal with in practice through the week. With a performance like Mike put out today, he does that every time we practice. So him practicing like that makes us even better. And we appreciate Mike Green to the fullest. I wish you could have gave away 2 awards, but we can share this.
You absolutely can. Do what you want with it. It is yours to take home. Now, of course, Jordan Jolly, Philip Barnett, you got yourself some toys out there to throw to. How was it having them healthy out there, especially the return of Tyron Laughinghouse?
I thank the Lord for Tyron Laughinghouse. I mean, he's a local dude. I mean, he likes to play football. He loves championship atmosphere. And as you can see, we're so comfortable and much more effective as an offense when he's part of it. It's easy pickings, as they say. Laughinghouse is unguardable as somebody else thought they was last night. We're not going to say no names. But Laughinghouse is literally unguardable, as you saw tonight. First game back, 2 touchdowns. Come on.
If you could describe this moment for this season, few words.
Righteous. Righteous.
He is the righteous owner of the official National Arena League Championship player of the game, the Fan Show player of the game. Well-deserved. Congratulations on all the success, man.
The fact that this man didn't win NAL MVP or no NAL award is absurd. The best quarterback in all arena football, baby. Charles McCullum.
My guy.
He's got the belt to support that theory. From the National Arena League Championship, Charles McCullum.
All right, next one. Last but not least, my favorite one, Coach Billy Back and the Back family. Here it is.
All right, I am here post-national.
No, that was Craig's. Oopsies. We'll get the coach one here. My bad, folks. Where is it? Where'd it go? Where's Coach's? There we go. Found it.
All right, I'm here post-game.
What just... Sorry, folks. There we go. Let's try it one more time.
Post game with Coach Billy back, and I just want to start out by saying, reverse the curse. I think it was the 49ers tie that did it this evening. I just got to say it's undefeated at the moment. But how you feeling otherwise?
Yeah, I got a shout out to Amir Ishmael. Amir, curse was reversed, 66-8. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, the curse was reversed.
NAL Championship. The fans love you. The players love you. You took an expansion team. You had some adversity. You went through 2 seed, hosted the first year. I mean, if you had to sum up 2018 now, what would you say?
It's gratifying. It's the longest season I've ever been a part of. And for us to start camp, have the chemistry we've had, push through the entire season, the 19 bye weeks and the 48 games we played, it feels like, to win the championship in the fashion we did, that's an old-fashioned ass whooping. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. And, our guys were out here to prove a point tonight. I think everybody in Facebook land and all the area understands who's the best offense, the best defense, and the best special teams are in the NAL. And I'm saying that because I love my guys, and I believe in my guys. And if I could have voted for my guys, I would have voted for my guys. But at the same time, our guys proved a point tonight. They were out to prove a point from the day one, from our press conference on, prove a point. Everything, when the league awards came out, to prove a point. And I told you that on your show. Our guys are especially extra motivated, and 66-8. That's an ass whooping.
You read it right.
That's an ass whooping. So I mean that's 7 out of the 16 first-team all-leaguers in offense.
Yeah, and
6 points. 6 points. They kicked the deuce.
Their quarterback does not play on defense, and you guys put it on him.
Yeah, that's what we said. They signed Terrence Mbagwe, who's a great player. I'm not going to take it away from Terrence. He's a great player and a good friend of mine. He was a weapon. We were worried about him coming in the game and being an asset, but they couldn't get it to him. With Mason Espinosa not playing, that was the difference in the game. Mason's a great quarterback, and I'll give credit where credit's due. Mason's playing, it's a different ball game. He's accurate. He's a smart player. He can read defenses, and not having Deron Neal, the same thing. Those are players, and Fortson's on the outside. So those are players that, that's my son. Those are players that makes a difference, So that being said, no excuses. Don't give me the labor, give me the baby. And we produced the baby tonight.
You certainly did. And speaking of which, there's a special lady, Stacy. Get over here.
Come on, woman.
So first and foremost, congratulations. You guys find out boy or girl tomorrow. But, of course, tonight's about this guy who you are his biggest supporter. I know this is a married man myself. How are you feeling right now?
Proud wife moment. Happy, excited. Yeah, speechless, actually. I don't know.
Weird. Speechless. That's odd. That's odd.
Isn't it?
Every halftime I go in and check my cell phone, and I get a halftime report from her, halftime adjustments. And it's, this needs to change, this needs to change, this guy's sucking, why is he so slow? Pick it up, tell Schmidt this, da-da-da-da-da. And 99% of the time she's right. And if I don't respond to that, I get in trouble at halftime. But her halftime adjustments are part of the things I look at, like, hey, she said this, this, and this. She knows the game better than 90% of these coaches. And,
your comment?
I should be an assistant coach.
She is director of player personnel. So, but no, she's been with me throughout this entire journey from 2010 on. Bouncing around city to city, and I owe a lot to this woman for being by my side, supporting me, and telling me when I'm wrong, and then telling me when she's right, and but her support is unbelievable. So.
Now, from the championship to finding a new home in Carolina, would you guys say, pending, tomorrow, I don't know if you have a preference, boy or girl, has this been the best year ever for the Back family?
It's been pretty good. We had a kid 18 months ago that we weren't supposed to have, and he's the wildest thing known to man. We got a 10-year-old daughter come here, London, who's probably one of the biggest fans of indoor football. And this girl goes to school and said, Dad, nobody knows who the Cobras are. And this is when we were in Ohio. I said, well, they will.
I bet they know now, right?
Yeah.
Proud of you, Dad?
Yeah, I'm the luckiest kid in the world.
She's going to have a YouTube
luckiest kid in the world right here in Greensboro, Carolina. You guys are great, though. Congratulations, Coach, and the rest of the Back family. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, reverse the curve. Woo! Go Cobras.
All right, folks, that is going to do it for me here on this Wednesday edition of The Fan Show. Don't forget, we will have our BattleBot special tomorrow night, and then back to our regularly scheduled programming next Tuesday. Same Fan Show time, same Fan Show place. If you missed any of tonight, you can still catch it in its entirety. Subscribe on iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, or Spotify, and then, of course, Spreaker.com/user/The Fan Show. Fanshow.com is your home base for all things football nonsense and anything robotics or mechanics, pop culture, music, wrestling, and outdoors. And we are going to have so much more for you. It might be winding down. You know, the days of summer have come and gone, or are going to be gone. But we will still have plenty more content. Football season's just around the corner, and that is our prime time, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you again to the National Arena League, Coach Billy Back, the Carolina Cobras, and, of course, Coach Jason Gibson of the Columbus Lions, everybody else who was part of the tailgate, the pregame, the award ceremony, the media day, just everybody who made this trip happen. Bobby Brown, Mindy Nix, Ethan Harrison, Jeff Simon, you guys are absolutely incredible. Fantastic. So follow me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. We'll see you guys next time. Best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.